Hey everyone, I'm back in Watertown, New York. Today's video is all about the Egan family murders. It's a very interesting story, but the Egan family, they're buried here in the same cemetery that one of Arthur Shawcross's victims is laid to rest. We're gonna walk around the cemetery, talk to you guys more about this interesting case. So the Egan family was actually quite well known in Watertown, New York, but they weren't actually well known for doing anything good for the community. In fact, they were actually well known for the opposite reasons. They were known as absolutely terrible people. They had been described as being pimps, as being liars, cheaters, thieves, and like I said, just all around terrible people. Now you might be wondering, why on earth am I filming a story about these quote-unquote terrible people, and why am I going to be showing you their graves later? It's mainly because their story is so interesting and so well known here in this town that I wanted to make sure I could document this for you guys. Anyway, let's get into actual events though. So Peter and Gerald Egan were brothers. They had along with them Peter's wife named Barbara. And so all three of them, like I said, were thieves. The Egans were lured to the rest stop on December 31st, 1964 by one of their fellow criminal buddies named James Pickett, who told them that there was going to be a liquor truck that would probably be worth around $16,000 that they could go and steal. And so he essentially gave them directions, told them to go to this rest stop so they could steal this liquor truck. James Pickett was actually working for another criminal named Joe Leone. And Leone was actually part of a bigger network of burglary rings, etc. And Joe Leone knew that the Egans potentially could squawk on them or rat on them being Joe Leone and his accomplices. So Joe Leone decided that he was gonna put them away, as he said. So the Egans, like I said, Barbara, Peter, and Gerald all went down to the rest stop, but as soon as they pulled up, they were murdered. Now, a couple who had just arrived at the rest stop had essentially just walked into the crime scene. They saw, again, Barbara, Peter, and Gerald murdered in, like, what they said as a gangland style triple murder. So after 3 years, the police finally put the evidence together and finally figured out that the murderer was most likely Joe Leone. Again, the guy that was in charge of this whole burglary ring. Joe Leone's trial began 2 years after that in 1970. But from the start, the district attorney stated that there probably was no chance that Joe would be convicted. Apparently, evidence from Joe's house was thrown out. Joe Leone was found not guilty of the Egan's murders. Now, of course, since that was nearly 60 some odd years ago, Joe Leone has now passed away, but most people believe that Joe Leone was responsible, as he did state that he had to, quote unquote, put away the Egans. Anyway, guys, final resting place of Gerald, Barbara, and Peter. And as you can tell, they were all really young. I believe Gerald was 19. Barbara, I think, was like 24. She, of course, was Peter's wife. again, just a very interesting story. One that I was already here in the same cemetery filming the Arthur Shawcross victim's grave. So I was like, you know what, I'll just film this other video here too. And again, it's such a well-known story here in this town that I was like, you know, I want to document it. You know, as I said in other videos, you know, history is still history, whether it be a good history or bad history. And, you know, obviously it goes to show that, you know, being a criminal doesn't always pay off. So as I said, the Eagans were murdered off of a rest stop. Now it says it was north of Bradley Street, which is right where I am right now. It said it was north of Bradley Street on Interstate 81. And so, again, I'm gonna be going right up the road and onto the highway. And the rest stop, again, I believe, is just literally once you get on the highway, like a few seconds after you get off the highway. So anyway, let's get over there. All right, guys, so as I said, the article says they were murdered literally the rest stop, which is just north of Bradley Street, and the only rest stop just north of Bradley Street is coming up right here in a mile. But again, as I said, this happened in 1964, so there could have been a totally different rest stop somewhere either before or after this one that we're coming up to. They could have just, you know, they could have torn the other one down. I mean, who knows? There's many answers, but again, I'm just giving you guys my best interpretation of everything. So the first available rest stop or parking area is right here. So again, like I said, your guess is as good as mine. Lots of things could have changed in 60 some odd years. As I said, they could have had a totally different rest stop in this area. They could have torn that one down. There's one more rest stop like 3 or 4 miles north of this, but the article says that they were murdered at a rest stop just north of Bradley Street. And so that to me means that it was pretty soon after you get on the highway. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon on the next one. Thank you for watching.